Hello, folks at home. Nice to finally be here. Sorry I'm a little late. Something has been up with our internet. Let me kind of show you guys where I'm at here today with this Leviadon project. And we're actually going to do a couple little bonus fun things here today. 1 second. Go. Okay, might have had a bit of a buffering there, but hopefully it's working for you guys now. Here we are. This is where we got to last week on our Leviadon. I have done a few other things since then. Thing number one that I've done is I did do some of the metal, and the reason I did the metal is because I want to kind of get the base coat down for the Howdah, which I also did. So here's the Howdah, and here is the kind of how it looks. I'm not going to work on that much more today. I just kind of want to get it done because there are some metal parts of the Leviadon that are not just on the Howdah, including here on its face, which is something I wanted to work on today, and as well as its tail. And I need to actually grab, I think I have it back here, I need to grab the leather color I'd like to use here for this. So this is where we're at with the Leviadon, and what I thought I would do today is a few sort of other things before I jumped into the Leviadon. I thought I'd do a little bit of bonus stuff here. So bonus thing number one, folks at home might remember a few streams ago, I can't remember what Megan and I were doing, but I began doing a little bit of work on my flounder little fish here from the, this is from one of the Underworld's war bands that is in Legends now. It doesn't really do anything anymore, but what I thought I would do, I want to actually kind of finish this little guy here. So I thought I would do that. And what I also thought I would do is get some base coating, down here on the crab, who has not had any real work on him yet done. Now the fish is mostly finished. What I thought I would sort of do today on him is just knock his base out real quick, and do the base of the crab. There might be a little bit of extra work for me to do. But for the most part, I think he'll be pretty close to being done. Big thanks, Chris. I appreciate the super chat, or not the super chat, the gifted membership earlier while I was having some technical difficulties. Yeah, not sure it's up. Basically, starting this morning, in an appointment we had, digital appointment I had. If the Ethernet is plugged into our hub, we don't get internet. If we unplug it, I found out, we get internet. So working off the wireless here, which is a little risky, but we will see what happens. So something is up with our Ethernet cable, I guess. We will find out. Okay. There we go. So this guy really, I'm just working on the base here, so I'm kind of being careful. My bases for my Deepkin are Cantor Blue, is the base color. It's a Citadel color, so using the high line here to carefully knock that out. There we go. I'm gonna set him aside. Now that I've got the crab here, let me go ahead and knock his base out. Now, I'm gonna have to probably redo this because I'm gonna just psh down with ink, but that's okay because I actually want to get some of the Cantor blue on the crab because I want the ink to not just go over top of white, but we want some other coloration on the crab, so this is kind of how we're gonna get it. So I want to, some of the areas where I want to be a little darker, you can see I have a Zenithal on here, and so what I'm sort of now doing is just hitting a few areas where we want the crab to kind of come out a little more purple, because we're going to be putting a fluorescent red over this. Okay. So just a little bit like that, a little bit of coloration. That's pretty bright. Let me see if I can help you out that for a second. Other way. There we go. So this is sort of what we're looking like here. And then you'll see the magic of Dollar Roundy ink, which I know I've been blabbing about a lot recently. Hopefully everyone's doing good. Sorry for the late start once again. Next week I'll be back at my normal time, which is Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So hopefully folks at home can be there for that. I know this is a normal time plus the late start. Sort of a bummer. It's weird to imagine that a cable is what's causing your problems for your internet. Like a cable is actually not working anymore. How often is that an issue? I can't say I'm too surprised. We pulled this Ethernet cable up when we went to Vegas, and I saw about 4 or 5 staples that had been put directly through the cable. And I was like, that might be a problem. But it seems to, then we didn't use the cable at Vegas. And it's been working mostly, but all of a sudden today, I guess it's had enough. Okay, just doing a little airbrush cleaning. This is why I don't really like airbrushing on stream too much. One of our mods, Umi, has just been picking up an airbrush. And I was kind of chatting with him about it, and I was thinking about when you airbrush, really, unless you're fine not having a working area, like having your airbrush get gunky and clogged up a little bit, which a lot of people are fine with that, believe you me. You really need to, like, you saw how much water and stuff I just ran through that. And actually I'm not super confident, so I'm even gonna do this now because I don't normally do this technique with most of my airbrushes, but I like it with the Highline because it is a little hard to get into this area in between here where you add paint. The Highline doesn't have a cup, so it's a little hard to get in between here where you add paint and here where the paint comes out. Can be kind of hard to get into that area. So I sort of like the bubbling technique here for this. Okay, and then we do the toothbrush. Get the needle area all nice and clean. On the Highline, you may notice I took off this area, this little thing to the needle. It's really a needle guard, and I took that off just to make sure we get the needle clean enough. Soups, thank you for the super chat. As always, we appreciate your support. He says, please put towards the new cable fund. Yeah. It was an interesting problem to uncover because I believe yesterday we didn't really use much of the internet in here. It's also sort of a bizarre issue that I'm not sure normally. I guess it's nice our internet defaults to using the Ethernet, but our Wi-Fi is working, which is what I'm using right now. And it wasn't, which was confusing because all of our phones and Megan's computer and everything were working, but this computer specifically wasn't. Anyway, live and learn. And it's not a problem we have to worry too much about right now. In the gaming studio, we use a different Ethernet cable because it comes from a different location. And that one, at least a couple of days ago, was working fine. So some of you guys helped me out with a test stream, making some changes in the in the gaming studio. And so that one was working fine. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Is that a normal thing, Molecule? Thank you, though, Soups, as always, for the support. Okay. Fish is still drying. I put kind of a lot on there. It came out a little wet. Crab still drying as well, but that's okay, just on the base, which I don't super care about. So here we go. Now I have a couple colors. So first of all, the crab's kind of interesting. My army has a ton of colors in it. Excuse me, folks. But red is not one of them. So this crab is actually going to be red. Now, by the way, I'm not using these guys as units because those units are, I think, legends. I've been using the Achelian, like Ashlan, sorry, wizard lady in the underworlds as my soul scryer. There's like an Achelian fighter person. And then there's these two sea creatures and one other thing that I don't remember what the other thing is. So I'm going to be using the fish here, which again I've painted to look like Flounder from The Little Mermaid. I'm going to be using the fish here and the crab as counters and markers for things. I'm not exactly sure what yet. My army has a spell that reduces your rend by 1. I almost never cast it, but I might use the fish for that. I also have a spell that gives -1 to my enemy saves with 3, but up to 3 different units. I kind of would like to use the crab for that one, but I only have the 1 crab, so that doesn't exactly make sense. So I have to kind of figure this out. Now, as far as colors go, like I said, there's a lot of crazy colors in my army, my Deepkin army. Right now, if you've seen any of it, I've posted in the Discord. We've used it on stream several times now. The eels are very vibrant yellow. The sharks have got purple and yellow going on. But like I said, no red. So I think the red we will use is this Dollar Rowney, fluorescent red. And if I recall correctly, this stuff doesn't have the greatest coverage. So we're going to be very careful with it. We're going to go on real light and careful and see how we like the look of it. I'm kind of thinking I might have to go back and put a different red down first, selectively, and then put this over top of it. But hopefully it comes out okay. And hopefully some of the blue we put down will help it give us some different colors. Yeah, this stuff is very... Okay, yeah. I can show you guys real quick what this is going to look like, but I can tell right away I'm going to have to... In fact, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Here, let me... One sec. Yoink. Okay. Yeah, watch how this stuff does not go on particularly... vivid. It's pretty transparent. So let's do a little test here on the card. There it is by itself. I'm gonna flush this out. The nice thing about working with Dollar Rowney inks is on a fine airbrush like the Highline or CR Infinity or anything like that, is that they go through it very easily because they're ink. Go through it very easily, and even more importantly, clean out very easily. And for us, that's great because that means boom, done. You saw how long I spent cleaning out Citadel Air paint, by the way, which actually goes quite well through airbrushes. And here I was just done basically immediately with that. I know, Soups, I know. Well, it's kind of funny. The lack of red is almost one of the color choices in the army. It's like there just isn't red, but that's like literally the only color there isn't. Like there's a lot of purple, there's a lot of yellow, there's a lot of green, there's a lot of blue, there's orange. Like there's every other color in the army. And this is really my first army doing that. Normally I keep a pretty tight color palette. But with this one, I almost like used no red as the color. So the crab is sort of a choice here. Okay, here's flame red. I know this stuff goes on great. There's flame red. And to be honest with you, the crab might just end up that color. I might go grab another red, but I think I kind of like the flame red. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to put a second one down. And then I'm going to put a third one down. Very light. Okay, you see that? So what I've got here is 2 flame red dots, a light flame red dot, and the fluorescent dot, which also looks like shit, huh? Maybe it's just a shit color, to be honest with you. Went on like shit, covered like shit. Maybe we won't use that. Okay, so I'm going to clean the flame red out, then I'm going to go back to the shit color, the fluorescent red, and we're going to put that over top of these 2 right here. So that we can see if that's going to be a good look for us with the crab. Crabs really aren't red, by the way, in the ocean. They're actually almost never red. That's the color they turn usually when you cook them. But that's the color everybody thinks of when they think of crabs, so that's kind of like what we do. I'm sure there are red crabs. In fact, I know there are. The Christmas Island crabs are super red, but crabs are mostly all kinds of other colors. Okay, here we go. Here is the fluorescent red again. Okay. Over top of the flame red does nothing at all. Don't really care. You can see that. Over top of the light flame red. I think we're gonna go with that, but why is this stuff? I guess I need to, maybe it's not shake. We'll give it a better shake. We're gonna assume that that's gonna work. That's what I'm gonna go with right there, that one. So what I'm gonna do is flush this out again, go back to the other red, and put the other red down kind of carefully. Then we're gonna really make sure we mix up this one, because I'm kind of wondering if that's the reason it's coming out a little spotty. It did come out a little bit better here the second time around. But I like this over top of a different color. And like the reason I knew to do that is because it's not the first time that's how fluorescent paints have worked better. Going over top of a non-fluorescent version of the color they are, but like a very thin layer. The crab from The Little Mermaid, Sebastian, is, yeah, he's basically been cooked. He's a cooked crab that is actively assisting Ariel in her quest to become a human, and her quest to not be a freak. Okay, here we go. So I have to be really careful with this. I do not want this to go on too hard. So here we go. We're gonna be real gentle, real subtle. Just tinting ever so slightly. Really, really a great airbrush, the high line. Everybody else around here, except for Meg, hates it because it doesn't have a cup. It's a little weird, takes a little getting used to, no cup. I kind of like it. Real gentle, real soft, careful here with this. Like I said, I want the fluorescent to work. So we're going to be very gentle, just tinting it a little bit here. Okay. And we can play with this a bit. We can go a little harder in some areas. You can see I chose to go put a little bit more up on the top there. Okay, there we go. So now we'll do the fluorescent. I think Meg and I are supposed to play tonight, actually. I don't know. Meg is playing John on Saturday for our Saturday game. It's going to be Meg playing Seraphon, John playing Soulgrite Blave Lords. and Meg usually likes to get a little warm-up game in before she plays, which is very fair, very understandable. And it's been nice for me. I've been able to get more games in. I actually really don't get that many games in of Sigmar. You might be at home being like, well, you get more than I do, and that might be true, but if you think about how often we have games and how often I just produce and don't play, I'm kind of lucky if I get a game in a week, which is not good. I need to be getting more games in than that. Okay, here we go. Fluorescent. And yes, if you're joining in and you're saying, hey, dude, this says you're painting a turtle and that looks like a stupid crab, I promise I'm going to get to the turtle. I just thought it would be nice to do a little palette cleanser, or like a little aperitif, a little hors d'oeuvre, a little crab hors d'oeuvre before the main course. Okay, here we go. Now onto the fluorescent. Okay, this should just sort of like brighten and vivid things up. I actually don't know that's gonna have like a really profound look on the actual like color. Oh no, it looks good though. I'm liking it. All right, so if you liked this look, if you like how the crab has come out, think about that when you're using dollar rounding inks with an airbrush. The fluorescents or really light ones. The trick here, the whole kind of theory here, I'll go through it real quick with you guys. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that has come out. So the theory, the trick, first I put blue underneath. So put a color that will, think about your primary colors, for example. Put a color that will have some sort of interesting blending effect when the other color goes over top of it. So Saray, I got this idea from Saray, who loves to put pink under yellow, and it looks great. It ends up giving you like an orangish, which makes like the best kind of shading for yellow. Because that's sort of what you're doing. You're creating like a natural shading with the other color. And so you really want to be careful about what color you pick to go under. So in this case, I knew that blue, when red goes over top of it, would turn purple, and I'm fine with that. So I put blue on the bottom, then I did like the Dollar Roundy Flame Red, which is like a pretty much straight red. It's a little on the orange side, honestly. And then I went over with the fluorescent. So if you're using like Dollar Roundy fluorescent ink, the coverage is particularly bad. I'll be honest with you, on the red and the blue, the Dollar Roundy blue fluorescent, the coverage is bad too. So if I wanted to have something real vivid, bright blue fluorescent with Dollar Roundy fluorescent blue, I would probably, I'd probably put red down to get the purple again. Or I'd put down maybe green, or even orange might do like a darker blue tint. But play around, and the biggest advice I can give you guys, not that anyone watches journeys for the advice and not just to sit here and ridicule the person doing the journeys, but the biggest advice I can give you guys is try things out on a card, like a paper card. People I think are like, oh, I don't have anything to try it out on. I need a model. Like, you don't need a model. Just use index card. This is one of my favorite hobby tools right here, by the way. Here you see it in this view. Here it is in this view. You can see it in both views, so you know what it looks like. It's an index card. Oh, wait. There it is. There it is. Look how it messes with the ISO on the camera, too. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, I think that these index cards are one of my favorite tools that we have. The other thing I use this for is honestly like airbrush masking all the time. Like I'll do lazy airbrush masking, like something like this. I'll do like that a lot with these. Just like get in there, or hold it real careful with like one hand like this while I airbrush with the other. If it's fast, and it's like okay to do that with. Sometimes you have to get in there and use the putty, but okay, well, that was a nice little appetizer, hopefully. Doing a little work on the crab. That's good. I like to have, one of my favorite states to have models in is that their airbrushing is complete, and then I set them aside. Because a lot of times here, sharing this space with Megan, or maybe even Saray's down, or it's really cold and rainy, or Meg's cold as usual, or something like that. I don't want to have the window open. I don't want to maybe have the air filter running. I like airbrushing is just kind of an ordeal, or like all of our airbrush stuff is on this side of the table. So if Meg is here and I need to airbrush, it's kind of a pain in the butt to ask her to move, and I move my stuff, we switch. Or like I'm doing work on the computer, then I'm done and I want to paint something. I just want to stay on that side and she's here or whatever. So I like to basically, when I can, just knock out airbrushing so that now I can just go grab this guy and finish him off. And to be honest with you, because he's going to be a counter, I'm not going to do a lot more work with him. Now, that said, the other reason I'm doing this is because I want to win some Best Painting Awards with this army. And so I'm doing this sneaky bastard thing where I'm going to be painting little counters like this so that when they're like, oh, set up your army for judgment, I'll not only be able to set my actual army that I'm using at the event, I'll have like these other little things I've painted that just add to the wow factor. Just like kind of my version of being a display board. Easier to travel with, actually useful on like a display board. Okay, so here's this little guy. I'll put him down. I'll use my counters. If Meg and I are going to play tonight, I'll use my counters when I cast spells on her. There they are. Okay, Sebastian and Flounder from Little Mermaid. Okay, let's go back to the turtle and let me kind of show you where I'm at and what I've done and what I'm going to be doing today. Gonna remove this. Okay, the Howdah. Let me chat that. So first, for my Deepkin metallic color, I primarily mix these two colors right here. Vallejo Chrome. I spray and get paint all over my bottles, by the way. So there it is, Vallejo Chrome. And then metal color, acrylic, metal color. And then Vallejo Gold. I almost mix these 1-1. So I end up with this kind of, I like to call it sunken treasure look. It's like sort of platinum-y, but a little too gold for platinum. But it's you know, it's not rose gold, so it's like right there in the middle. That's thing number one that I do. Then I take this guy. This is, again, I like to make sure I get airbrush paint all over the title of the paint. This is Citadel Contrast Ethermatic Blue. So I like to take Ethermatic Blue and I put it in one of these guys. This is a palette thing that holds things like liquids, like paint. And I put some of that in there, and then I take water and I water it down. And I do use water, and I want it to be water. I want to make a very runny glaze, and then I just glaze it up. This one, I'll be honest, may have been glazed too much. It might be a little too blue for me. So what I might do, I won't do it today. I'll do it when I work on the Howdah, probably next week. Take these guys again and just give it a little gentle spray to just knock it back. Just I know it'll work because I've done it before. It'll just knock the blue away a little bit, but not too much. And that's, you know, a lot of painting is like that, especially airbrush painting is just like the back and forth. Okay, so that's the Howdah. Now the reason, like I said, I did the Howdah is because, one, the turtle has these two parts here on him that are connected to the Howdah. So I wanted to get these all done at the same time. And then he's got these blade things that are also connected to the Howdah, or not connected to the Howdah, but the same kind of metal. And then most importantly, since I want to work on the face today, as I mentioned lore-wise, the Deepkin do not actually like have a good relationship with their mounts. These mounts are not like, oh, like you'd think because they're elves, you're like, oh, they raised them from birth and hatched them from the egg. And no, these are like creatures they go out and find and like manipulate and like brainwash with magic. And then they cover their vision and so that the turtles can't like look over and see the elf that it hates and like try to kill it real quick. So they don't have a good relationship, honestly. Nobody, the thing is, you have to remember, nobody likes the Deepkin. Like, Deepkin are like just the most hated race in Sigmar, one of them. And also nobody remembers that they even exist. So both of those things make it hard to establish a nice relationship with an animal. Now, that said, the Deep Mare, which is what the Akkelian King rides, that is the only creature that's a little different. In that case, they do form a bond, or you know, it doesn't have the covers on its eyes at the very least. And I just want to also take a chance to see what it looks like, right? Like, if you're working on a larger project like this, it's kind of nice to skip around and put the pieces together and say like, oh, this is how this is starting to look. I certainly do that often with terrain. It's a big deal. Like, oh, I made a base for a forest, and now I made the trees. So I should put the trees on there before I finish the tree and just kind of see how the color's coming out. So I'm pretty happy with this. Keep in mind, we also have the 4 riders. I haven't done anything really with them yet. So I would say I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move on. Okay, so I have a few things to work on today. I think number 1 is I'm going to work on the tail. Now there's a few components here that we need to do. Let me grab a tool for pointing at things. I'll use a Patriot airbrush needle that's nearby. What a good pointing tool. Okay. Also a good opportunity to check and see if the needle's clean, which it's not. That's my fault, because I've been the only one using these 2 things the past day or 2. You can feel the little grit on the needle. Probably needs more needle lube. Okay. Here we go. Tail. So thing number 1 I'm going to do, I actually am going to do this first, is I'm going to highlight up this yellow a little bit more. I'm going to settle, I've settled on, I like the yellow here. I like the little yellow spine. So yellow spine, a 1. 2, you can see here that there are, you can see here that there is like some material here. I'm going to paint that cloth. It's going to be like a leather. It's actually going to be like an ochre. It's going to be kind of dramatic. I was like, oh, I could do gray or black, but I kind of would like it to actually look a little dramatic. So there's some here, and there's also some here, up near its the base of its tail. Elsewhere, there are not a lot of other straps, but we're going to move on to the face here now. Here, there is a little strap, so I'll probably do that the same ochre color. And then here is his face, and there's not a lot to do in the face because there's no eyes, and eyes are like a really big part of the face, right? So what we need to do here on the face, there's a little metal mistake here to clean up. Can I just poke that off with a needle? Maybe? Yep. Okay, that's good enough. We'll touch that up still. Okay. Turtles in real life don't have teeth. They have beaks, but Leviadons have teeth. So we're going to paint its teeth, and we'll do some highlighting, and we need to probably do something kind of interesting with this horn. Whether it's yellow up to orange maybe to kind of reflect, you know, the camo patterns. We need to do something there. There is, oh, I found another strap actually also. There's another strap right here. So, and there's straps here. And then they wouldn't be Eldar without little elf and Eldarkin without little gems. So there's some little gems here, here, and here on the straps. There's also some here and here. Actually, I haven't done gems yet. This is the first time I'm seeing anything like this on any of my Deepkin kit. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those. I may not get to those today, to be honest with you. I might need to think about that. Literally just noticed those. Okay, so that's it. That's what we've got. Okay, still here. Sorry, that was a airbrush piece. Don't want to lose that. Okay, let's start that tail. Got my color out here. Got my wet palette here. I've been enjoying my Chronicle RPG wolf hair brushes, to be honest with you. They remind me of pretty decent synthetics, so I'm kind of into them. Okay. Once again, I'm going to use air paint because I want to go on in a few thin layers, and that's sort of my jam. Air paint here, thinner paints on a wet palette, and just kind of gently moving in here. Getting a bit of water on the brush to pull this back a bit more. More water. It's like a nice little blended look here. All right, now we're going to increase the opacity for highlight purposes. Not too much, not doing too much here on the tail. I'm going to take just a tiny amount of white. Is it fun to see my palette? I don't know. Okay. I try to go for, when I paint, because I'm always painting armies, I do try to make I am balancing speed always and looking good, quality and quantity. But I am always trying to find high ROI, period. High return on investment. How much time does something take? What is the value? In the case of the Leviadon, at this time I'm only painting one. I might add a second Leviadon to the list down the road, but I do write everything I do down, or quite honestly these days, even better, I can just go back and watch a YouTube video of how I did something. So I am always kind of looking at like ROI in all seriousness. How much sense does it make for me to do that over 60 models, over 20 models, over 2 models? And I also, at the same time, I kind of work with a lowest common denominator to some extent. Meaning that thing people do where they're like, oh, I'm going to really bump the paint level up on my centerpiece, but not all the little people. I tend to not do that. I tend to try to like things around the same level. And if I'm going to do a bump up, I try to do an army-wide bump up. And that's the other thing I kind of keep in mind, is that I can always go back. You're never locked in. You can always go back. I fully intend to go back and kind of up the level of 100 Witch Elves, for example. I think I might even start to get to that towards the end of this year. But just going into your wet palette and taking, this is the first, this color right here is one of the colors. This is the first Absalom color we ran out of, is just pure white, because it's such a great, just taking a tiny amount and adding it to a color to just make a little bit of a highlight color. I understand that it does make things a little more pastel when you add white as a lightning color, but to lower the I guess was that lower the value or change the value to be lighter. So you want to be careful with the amount that you use, but I find that its ROI is pretty good. Using a wet palette and just like grabbing a little bit real quick and just adding it to it. And it makes us nervous as army painters, I know, because we want specific formulas. But I would encourage you as an army painter to trust your eye. Trust that you'll be able to recreate that. Now, it's good to know what paint you use. Like, oh, I use this yellow and I use this and I use this white, and it is good to know. And we all get our favorites. I love Phalanx yellow for whatever reason. We have like 3 or 4 air Phalanx yellows over there because before we had the studio, I tended to have paints set up per project, and I start to realize that I use Phalanx yellow all the time, and you can look over there and see all these Phalanx yellows, and that's why. So like, it's a color I like. So I kind of know myself, and I know that I'm going to be able to look at this tail if I don't write it down. And I know that I'm going to say, well, this is how I paint, and that's probably Phalanx yellow, and that was probably Absalom white, because those are the colors I use to do these things. And then you can kind of start to say, like, I trust I can recreate that tail, this tail right here, on a second Leviadon. I think I'll be able to do it. I might want the second Leviadon to look different also, to be honest with you, although probably not. I might not have a choice, though, honestly. Okay. Cool, that's kind of where I want the tail to be for now. Yes, I think that's really it. So let me, I have all my Deepkin colors right here. And the color I've been using, because I do kind of like to keep the palette a little contained, the colors I've been using for their skin are actually kind of the colors some of the colors to some extent, that I'm going to use here now for, that I'm going to use now for the leather here. Actually, I'm looking for one in particular. Is it not here? Oh, no, here it is. Okay. Green ochre, yeah. This is the base coat for the skin on the actual riders, the elves themselves. And so I'm gonna kind of use this and play around with some colors here to make our leather straps. Not that I want to imply that the Deepkin use their own skin to make the straps, but I do want the color palette to be a little reined in. Okay. Kind of hate these straps, if I'm honest. I actually don't exactly understand what's going on with the Leviadon's tail. Oh. I don't exactly understand what's going on with the Leviadon's tail, but we'll see. Maybe once it's painted, I'll be like, oh, okay, I kind of like that. It's got these straps that kind of go over top of, sorry, eraser, that go over top of the tail. The tail has sort of weird bumps on it that I don't really get. I'm not sure. I haven't given them much thought yet, like if I'm gonna color them. I'm gonna look online and kind of see what other people have been doing. But I'll confess, you can see I've had to do some erasing. There's something up with the tail that just doesn't make sense to me. So my brush is not moving me, I'm moving my brush. Which means I'm going slow. Which means bad ROI. Kind of something I learned when I was painting Thousand Suns is I found that I was not really able to let the brush go, kind of let my hands go, and kind of let just it glide over things, and I really was having to think, what is this? What do I do now? That's like that happens to me a lot too when you're painting an old metal model and it has like a cape, and the cape like just morphs into the leg, and you're painting and you're painting and you're painting and it's just going, and you're like, okay, cool. You feel like your brush is kind of leading you, and then you get to that and you're like, the brush is like, what the hell is this? And then it goes to your brain, and your brain's like, I don't know, where do we draw the line? When is this? Yeah, it's kind of similar. That feeling of, I now have to think in a weird way. I have to like engage this different part of my brain now that isn't actually a skilled painter. It's this part of my brain. It's this part of my brain that is just making a bizarre reality choice and saying, I don't know, is that a leg or a cape? You tell me. Okay. I am glad I'm doing this kind of leathery looking color though, and not black or gray. I wanted to have, I like just the idea of having a little spot of like, oh, what is that? This needs to get painted metal down here. I am actually kind of painting the under. I've done so much work on the bottom of the Leviadon that I might as well do all of it, right? And it's occurred to me that I actually do not believe I've ordered the magnetic kit. I thought I did from Magnet Baron for the Leviadon. I thought I had ordered it, but I think I still need to order it. I think I kind of really want to order like the tallest one possible. I like the idea of the Leviadon being up kind of high. Up until now, I've actually mostly ordered the ones that are a little lower down, so I can model for advantage. Just kidding. In this version of the game, that doesn't even matter. Okay, I know you guys can't see this view here. Every now and then I need to do a thing. Just getting the edges of this weird. Again, just not sure what this is. Like, I don't know what the purpose of this leather on this part of the Leviadon is. Maybe it's like a little metal piece right there. I'll have to paint. Maybe it's like in the movie Gravity, or like they do with space shuttles, where they just put a lot of things all over them to hold onto and grab onto real quick, in case you go flying backwards. So maybe the average Akelian rider is really aware of where all the random straps and stuff are on a turtle, in case he or she goes flying backwards. I did finally get the right magnets from Magnet Baron. They were apologetic. They sent me a bottle of super glue as a peace offering, which I accepted. In the interim, I went ahead and ordered ring magnets from Amazon, which I hate to do. But I was like, listen, I don't know that this guy's ever going to get the order right. So I did order them. And quite frankly, they're worse. If I could make a recommendation, it would be to go ahead and try to get the Magnet Baron ring bank magnets. He's a gamer. He's a small business. Support him to begin with. I know it is a little frustrating, right? We want to support the small business and the gamer business and stuff. But, 3 times being sent the wrong magnets, kind of crazy. So I was like, listen, I'm just going to order some from Amazon. I did order some from Amazon as a backup, because I was like, if this guy sends me disc magnets one more time, I'm just going to stop. I can't keep doing this, right? So I ordered both, and so now I have a bunch of ring magnets. I have too many ring magnets. But what's nice is, the Magnet Baron ones are better. They're a little stronger. I kind of noticed. So take that as you will. I'm very happy that I finally got my magnet bearing magnets. Okay. So tail leather right there. Here's some more tail leather. Like, what is this for? Like, nothing hooks on back here. I don't get it. All right, let's see. I realize I'm doing a bad job of interacting with chat. I'm not Meg. Let's see what profound things. Yes, very interesting. Just kidding. Yeah, oh, IK, Imperial Knights, Nick. Yeah, magnet strength is a thing, that's for sure. I used, on one of my first kind of magnet experiments, I had been using magnets for my crisis suits, for my Tau. This was years ago. And I was like, oh, I'd also like to use these same magnets that I have a bunch of, because I bought a bunch of them, to magnetize the weapon options on my Hammerhead Shark, again for Tau. So it's like this way I can do the rail gun and the ion cannon that they had. Except for the railgun was too long, and so when I magnetized it, it just like leans down now. I've since kind of like finagled it on the inside a little bit to have like more friction so that it kind of works. But it's sloppy, and it was a lesson learned. It worked fine on the ion cannon, works fine, but just because the rail cannon is so long and counterbalanced oddly, the magnets don't really work on it. Been pretty happy with magnetization on the Deepkin. Definitely learned a lot. I also don't magnetize. I don't know if anyone Deepkin players have magnetized their eels. I don't magnetize the eels in the middle of the eel. It's actually a little off balance. I magnetize towards the front of the eel. There's a great spot to put a magnet underneath the eel, kind of closer. It's about 1/3 of the way back from the front of the eel. So 2/3 of the eel is behind the magnet, and 1/3 of the eel is in front of the magnet. And the rider is right around where the magnet is, actually. There's just like this kind of nice area. And I think that's how you're supposed to do it. So I don't know how other people have done theirs, but it works well. So if you end up playing Deepkin and you magnetize your eels, like ask somebody where to put the magnets, because if you've done enough magnetization and you kind of look at it, I think it's obvious. You'll be like, oh, this shouldn't go right in the middle of the eel, like halfway back the eel. Also, like, it's an eel, so it gets smaller and smaller as it goes back, right? It's got its bulky head, then it's got its thicker front area, and then there's kind of like a natural, like I said, like a natural bulge down, and then the rider, and then it's just the rest of it's like a long, thin tail. So you kind of are going to look at this thing and be like, oh, I should not magnetize this thing. It'll fall forward if you do it wrong. I'm sorry, I should not magnetize this thing in the middle. I should have finished that sentence. You should definitely magnetize your eels. Speaking of eels, Brits soups. I don't know if you're still around. I'm definitely down to try eel pie when I'm in the UK. I don't really like eel as a food. I don't like eel in sushi. Typically, like an eel centric soup, like roll or something like that. I know soups. I know we've been over it, but I think we should try it. Have you tried it? Have you had eel pie soups? If you haven't had it, we should definitely try it together. I'm keeping you very, very far away. Yeah, I'm not the biggest eel guy, Elijah, I'll be honest with you. It's like one of my least favorite sushi things. But you have had it, soups, okay. If you've had it and you're like, it's really not worth it, then that's fine. But I wouldn't mind trying it, that's for sure. I should be able to say I've had it. I mean, like, I like this idea that, well, first of all, in general, I don't know if I've said this out loud to anybody or if Meg and I were just having this conversation. But in general, I'm really not into what I call river food. So any kind of seafood that comes from the river, I've noticed is oftentimes a little musky. The closest thing to river food I think I've had that I like are crawfish. Yeah, I'm not a catfish person, Melody. Now, there is catfish I've had that's okay. No way. Are you kidding me? That is not a revoked Maryland card. Maryland is all about the bay. Anything from the bay is important. But no, I don't. In Louisiana, too, they would do catfish from the lake and stuff. And I'm not a fan of freshwater. I've not had a lot of freshwater food, lake, pond, river food that I've been impressed by. Crawfish are about it, i.e. crayfish. They're okay. They're pretty good. It's funny. There are a lot of people, when you're in Louisiana, you end up coming upon a lot of people who are native Louisianans who do not like crawfish. They have kind of a valid reason. They often will use the term musky, tastes a little musky. And I'm kind of with them on that. But for whatever reason, I'm okay with it on the crawfish. I do not like it on catfish. Catfish, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just don't like it that much. The texture is a little, there's something about the texture. The texture is not flaky. It's like spongy. I've had a type of catfish called swai, S-W-A-I. That's pretty good. I don't really natively have a issue, like some psychological issue with bottom feeders or anything like that. I'll eat anything, right? But yeah, I just have not been impressed by catfish. I also think catfish is this. Here's another problem with catfish. Most whitefish, flaky whitefish, you do not want to overcook. And if you don't overcook it, you'll get a really good fish. There are a few types of fish that you really do want to make sure you cook enough. So you still don't want to overcook them, but you also don't want to undercook them. And catfish is absolutely one of those. If you do not cook catfish enough, it'll be slimy. And I can't do slimy like that. That's super gross. That's why I don't like okra either in my gumbo. And people are like, oh, you got to saute it first. I'm like, it's fine. It's not really worth it. I'll just do the green, I don't need the okra in my gumbo. I can just do green bell pepper and onion and celery is my jam. Yeah, not a fan of the biggest fan of catfish. Now, that said, it's possible every time somebody, I will say this, if people are like, trust me, you'll like this catfish, I'll always try it. I'm not convinced it is the animal itself I don't like. I think I've often had preparations of the animal that I do not enjoy. So I'm always down to retry catfish, but I'm often not impressed. No, my gumbo is not wet jambalaya. Although, to be honest with you, there's not a world of difference between etouffee, gumbo, and jambalaya to begin with. And a lot of it does come down to volume of water. I know. Actually, I think I'm going to make gumbo very soon. I haven't had it in a while. Maybe I'll make a seafood gumbo while my sister's coming to visit a week from today. Very exciting. I love my sister. She really spent a lot of her, she's 12 years older than me, and she really dedicated a lot of her childhood, young adulthood, to kind of raising me in ways that my parents were just not doing, which is not like a dig on them. But my sister's the one who would like take me to museums, take me to art things, concerts, and just different cool things, take me traveling and stuff when she was younger. She would just be like, hey, I want to go here. I'm taking Zach. Like, and my family's like, okay. So, as a result, she's kind of like a different version of my mom to me. If you had like a cool Xer mom. I kind of had like a cool Xer mom before everybody else had one, basically. So I'm very lucky. So anyway, she's come out to visit. And she is a pescatarian. Her and her family do not eat even chicken. My family being pescatarian is not really like a weird thing, because our kind of default food that we prefer to eat is seafood and cheese stuff anyway, for the most part. Like not having meat is not that big of a deal. So that's not super weird, but you know, being married, not related to, thankfully, being married to Hank Hill here, I end up eating a lot of burgers and meat and stuff. So it's kind of interesting to adjust the diet. You know, okay, yeah. Now, so I think that's all the straps. I need to now work on these straps a bit, not just leave them flat ochre. A little bit of cleanup that has to be done. I'm not gonna like be a lunatic about these straps, but I do want them to look nice. So I'm gonna do two things. I know, yeah, that is a goal. I do like seafood and fish a lot, and cheese, and I do like. I mean, honestly, there's really no major protein like animal that I don't like, but I don't feel like I would like. I'd miss burgers, but like I could definitely go to like a red meat 2-3 times a month thing and probably be okay. And I could probably go to a chicken like also like 1-2 times a month thing and be okay. I don't like inherently like chicken, like, oh, I need chicken, but there's like a couple chicken things that I like, right? But same with beef, and well, like again, like burgers are amazing, and there's some things that you just like. But I would miss, oh man, there's still more straps. I would miss seafood. I even think I could be a vegetarian for a while, but I could not be a vegan. I don't think, because I like cheese too much, especially. And I like eggs, but like a cheese, like a pasta, like a cheesy pasta. I could eat like a cheesy, tomato-y pasta and pretty much be good to go. Okay, these are the straps on his little metal slasher things. This guy has seven 3 damage attacks. That's almost the same as Marathi. kind of a butt kicker. Now, that said, I'm really excited to use him in a list and play with him a bit. He is just very... the turtle is just very different than what the rest of the army does. The rest of the army can do a lot of jumping around, skittering about, and the turtle can do that too. You can teleport the turtle. But I have to say, having a really good save and all the wounds it has and the damage output and the 5-up ward bubble that it gives to itself and other units, pretty crazy. It's a very tough, it's a shockingly tough unit for the Deepkin. It's almost 500 points. So just, you know, it can like seize the center, so to speak. If if you're keeping an eye on what your opponent has, that can get to it the next turn. But a lot of things are going to struggle to beat this guy up. And in return, he does not inconsequential amount of damage. Has like crazy shooting too. 4 3 damage shooting attacks also, by the way. So it is a flying fortress in the truest sense. Very few things have its output. And again, almost 500 points. That's like more than Be'lakor. So it's kind of a thing. We're gonna see. I did make a list that I'm thinking might be very good competitively that has a turtle and the black talons in it. I need to figure out what list I'm gonna take the small town throwdown in early June, I think. Early June, late May. Should be a very cool event. Old Town Throwdown tickets, by the way, are up for sale. If you're thinking about traveling for a, I've said before, I'll say it again. If you're thinking about traveling for an AOS event this year, Small Town Throwdown. And if you do go to Small Town Throwdown, or, sorry, really the one you should go to is Old Town Throwdown. Sorry, Small Town's also great, but it is a little smaller. If you want to go to something a little larger, Old Town Throwdown's great. Although, yeah, the Small Town's good too. Both of them have really just kind of like cool, I mean, imagine just like going to like a big frontline event, and imagine just like it's only AOS, right? That's it. There's no tables off to the side doing Marvel, or there's no big 40K crowd or whatever. So you get those kind of numbers. Small Town is like one of my favorites. Like I say, it's 60 people. I think if he sells out, Matt will probably. My guess is he might add tickets. He might go up to 80, or I don't know. I don't know if he would or not. But I really like that number, right? Like you just like 60 people, and Squad Marks HQ for the weekend. It's super fun. And what I was going to say is, if anybody listening ends up going to either of these events, do send me a message, because I've gotten kind of decent going down to all the SoCal events. I've gotten kind of decent at finding decent hotels. Believe it or not, there's a Motel 8 right by Squad Marks, and like Motel 8s are like not good normally, but this one's weirdly like very nice. So, and pretty inexpensive. So I strongly, we keep an eye on our budgets when we go on these things, but driving down to Small Town ends up being not too expensive of an ordeal because, well, for one, we can drive. It's close enough. I understand if a plane ticket changes the equation, but it's nice to kind of start to know the lay of the land and be able to say, oh, cool, this was actually like not that expensive because of, we found this weird hotel. Molecule, by the way, thank you. He says, do a Deepwater Horizon display board. No, I still don't know. I dodged the bullet with Vegas, and I don't know. See, this is kind of the sad thing about streaming live events now, is I don't know when I'm gonna next get to go to an event that has a painting competition that I'm not streaming. So, for example, I don't think I'm going to Rocky Mountain Open one way or another. I'm going to Small Town Throwdown, but I'll be playing in it. But I don't think it has a painting competition. I don't know. I can check. I can ask Matt. Then we'll go to Old Town Throwdown, but that we're streaming, so I won't be playing in it. Then we're going to Nova, I think. I think we're going to Nova. Nova's so expensive. We're going to Nova. I think even if we go to Nova and don't stream anything at Nova, I think I'm not going to do the GT. I just can't. I just don't like the 8 game format thing. It's just not for me. I think I'll do the single day RTT though, the day before. And again, I don't know if it has a painting competition or not. So, who knows? I'm trying to find some other events to go to. I'm still thinking about going to one of the ones up in Idaho, visit Broken Chef, and go play in Idaho. Could be fun. There's a couple of them. I'm trying to figure out which one. I don't know. Boise Cup has even been announced yet. There's also now one, I believe, in September in Bend, Oregon. So, thinking about that one. We shall see. But I'd like to be doing a lot of Deepkin this year. Okay, straps are done. What do you think? I think the leathery color was the right call for the straps, as opposed to like black or gray. It kind of gives it like its natural, I don't know, more natural look. A little less sci-fi. Oh man, Polly, it'd be super cool. Listen, if I could just get in a plane and fly somewhere, and like go to an RTT, like I would totally go to like your weird town in Netherlands, visit for like a few days and play like an RTT. That'd be super fun. Yeah. Okay, what am I gonna wash this with? I'm gonna wash it with whatever shade I find first. I don't know what's in here in my Deepkin shades. I might have put them all away. I don't know if there's any brown shades. Mortarian Grime, no. Soulblight Gray, no. What's this? No. Dang it! I have to get up. Oh wait, what's this? Yes, Seraphim Sepia. Perfect. Actually, that's kind of what I was hoping I'd find. Okay. So I'm gonna do a little wash on all these to, you know, do its wash magic, get a little in recesses, pull a little bit, add a little depth, and then we'll start mixing in some Vallejo Game Color Bone White, which I find is a little green, which is perfect for this green ochre. We'll start blending that, and we'll just do a little bit of highlighting on the leather as well. Being from Sweden but living in the Netherlands is really more than most of us are willing to like devote to your backstory, Polly. I think you're just gonna have to accept that you're from the Netherlands. I don't know that that's like an amount of bandwidth that we can really put into what's going on with. That's hard. That's 2 different countries we gotta keep track of now. I honestly don't expect people to remember that I'm from the East Coast but live in California. Just kind of like whatever. You're moving back. I'm actually very curious about how often people in the EU move around compared to Americans in the States. In general, I don't have a sense of how often people, like what those kinds of rates are for people. Like how often do people move, right? And like just go to a whole nother area and live and work. It has, yeah, so Chef Bend last year, one of the Corsairs, Ben, B-E-N, lives out in Western Oregon-ish area, and started a GT last year in Bend. Actually, I don't know if it got to GT status. I also don't even know what that means or how that works, or really care. But he started an event, a 5-round event over a weekend. Last year was its first year. It was actually the weekend of Megan and I's wedding anniversary, 15th wedding anniversary. So we did not go. Even though Meg kind of wanted to, we were also sort of like, well, we've been going to a lot of these. Yeah, let me see if Ben is doing it again this year. I think he was trying to move the date of it. Oh, the other event actually I realized I'll probably go to and play at, maybe, is Bay Area Open. Haha, kind of forgot about that one. You know, the one like right where I live. I don't think we'll be streaming it. Nobody's asked us to stream it. And yeah, I would go play that. That's near, it's local. I can just, a bunch of us will probably go. Steven, I'm sure, will go. Brad might play in it. Or, counterpoint, we don't go because it is somehow very expensive, and even though we don't have to pay for a hotel or travel very far, it's still somehow weirdly expensive. And you know, we could just stream games on Saturday at home and make money instead of spending money. But you know, probably we'll go. We'll probably be good community members and go. Last year they didn't even have Sigmar. I'm guessing they'll have it this year. So we shall see. Anyone else going to BAO, Bay Area Open? Anyone coming out for that? Anyone driving up from SoCal for BAO? I don't think it's one you would go crazy for. That said, it is Frontline Gaming's OG. It's the oldest Frontline Gaming event. We'll see. I don't know who's running it. So it's always been this guy, John Furerheim, and he just didn't want to do it anymore. And I can't say I blame him. You literally get nothing for doing these. So literally can't blame John for not wanting to do it. Yeah, so I don't know who's running them at all. Yeah, Old Town, if Old Town or if your choices are between Old Town and BAO, sorry, Frontline, I'm definitely picking Old Town. It's just such a well done event. The prize support is bonkers. The camaraderie is super fun. You're just gonna have a really good time at those events. So absolutely, unless all you do is care about winning, because I will tell you, you will probably get wrecked down. The level of play is crazy high down there, but you know, it's the people are still cool. Like you're playing awesome people that are just gonna absolutely beat your ass. And you can kind of see, it's interesting, you see how a strong meta creates a strong meta, because they're all used to playing with each other, right? So even when you're at the two Old Towns ago, I went 4-1, or no, 1-4 with my Spider Fang. And even my last games, the people were like still really good. It wasn't like I got down into like baby seal territory with people who couldn't win games, man. It was just other people playing good players, getting their butts kicked, and then still being good players themselves. And so you'll get good games. And if you go 1-4, you know, you probably still had mostly good games, maybe even only good games at that point. Super recommend it. If you're a European and you're planning like a SoCal trip or something, and you can line it up, you should do it. And when we say SoCal, it is literally right next to Disneyland and Disney World, or Disneyland, not and Disney World. And like, so if you're doing like going somewhere, and I'm not just playing Warhammer, but I'm doing like a US vacation, it's actually not bad. And like if you're there with your partner or something, they can go to Disneyland for a day or two, especially if you have like other people for them to, go with. I realize going to Disneyland by yourself isn't super fun. Old Town, I don't know the exact dates. Usually August, Chef. Old Town is usually in August. The tickets are up. It's up, and it is up, and it is there. You can buy your tickets. Look up oldtownthrowdown.com or just search Old Town Throwdown. The tickets are up. We didn't buy them because we're going to be streaming it, so we don't have to pay for tickets. At least I hope not. I don't think Tom's making us stream it and pay for tickets. That's actually like that'd be bizarre. So we shall see. I don't know who's going. I'm pretty sure Meg and I are going. I think other people on the crew, on the team, John, Steven, Brad, probably need to decide if they want to come and stream or come and play. All of those are options. But I do know that Megan and I will be streaming. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't super looking forward to it. I'm super looking forward to it. It'd be very fun to have the event streamed. It's an awesome event. Tom does an amazing job. By the way, Tom is now the official person running LVO next year as well. So he's kind of runs all the things on the West Coast at this point. Work as the doorman. Oh my God. Yeah. Boy. Yeah. Well, you should see. I mean, you have to drive out to Boise Cup. Oh, you stay with a friend. That's right. So, yeah, you'd have to get a hotel. Yeah, there's no way that Old Town's gonna be cheaper than Boise Cup, Chef. So if it's based on cost, yeah, do Boise Cup. I'm gonna also see about Boise Cup when it is. What else is going on? I really want to make one of the Idaho things this year. So we'll see. Okay. A little bit. What's going on? Still working on the leather here. Okay, so we got the wash on. Builds a little depth. But we're going to do a little bit of highlighting here now. Just taking this Vallejo game color, and I'm going to put it on the palette next to this, and away we go. Oop, it's too much. Sorry, stop talking because I'm concentrating here. I'm glad, Melody. It is. I feel the same. Honestly, it's, you know, the hobby hangs are great as well. Journeys is kind of nice because I've just designated it as that's really the only time I work on the Leviadon. And then anything related. So like obviously, you know, like I did some of the Howdah. I did some of the Howdah off air, but I just kind of knocked that out the day before. Find a time and just I'm like, okay, quick, let me do the stuff for Journeys tomorrow, or that's kind of nice. And I actually don't think I have to do that for a little while. I will base coat the riders, but for the most part, it's nice because that's the only time I really work on the Leviadon. So I kind of like that. Okay, so we're just doing a little bit of highlighting here. I'm gonna go back and blend this. Not a wet blend, but just a thin layer of the original color, dry blend. Just a little careful edge highlight. Not exactly edge highlighting, honestly. I mean, kind of, but sort of like just in the area. Sort of like a mix of edge highlighting and picking out some areas to apply sort of natural highlights to. Yeah, Cherokee Open actually, Zell and Melody is one I've kind of want to go to. My niece goes to college in the Research Triangle area in North Carolina. And I thought it'd be kind of fun. I realize that Cherokee's out in Western North Carolina, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to link up with her. I know it's at a resort, so link up with her. She can do like resort things, and Meg and I or somebody or whoever goes can do the event. But I haven't made it happen yet. It's hard once you start like having all these events that you do in a year and they happen the same time every year. It becomes a little challenging to find more slots, right? You really start to have to drop slots. And then not to mention, you know, every time we go to one of these, now that it's kind of, at least for Saray and I in particular, now that it's our job, we kind of have to be like, what's the value here, right? Like, can we do well in it? What does that do? I don't know. If you do well in an event, some people will watch your show. Is that the type of person you want watching your show? Yes. We want all types of people watching our shows. Is it the only type of person we want watching our show? No, we want hobby people, casual gamers, competitive people. We're doing that thing where we're trying to make everybody happy. And right now in the AOS world, you can kind of do that. because it's not a lot of people doing this right here with AOS, right? So you cannot really do that as much in the 40K world, and I think these days and be as successful unless you have a big team and you can say this is our narrative game, this is our competitive game. I think they do that on Play On a little bit, or mini wargaming, I know. But you kind of need a team for that and dedicated people to do each thing. So, you know, for now, we're often kind of making these calls and saying like, what is it that we want when we go to do one of these? When we go to an event, what is the goal? What is the takeaway? Is it just to have a fun time? Like, that's okay. But you know, you're leaving people back home over a weekend who have to do the streams. So it's kind of like something to think about. Everything has like some degree of cost now is the way to think about it. Okay, doing a little bit of cleanup on some of the highlighting I did. It's fairly subtle highlighting, folks at home. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I'm not like super wanting to mega highlight these leather straps. I just don't want that look. That said, when somebody gets in and looks closely at them, there needs to be variation, right? They can't just be one flat color. That's not what they would look like. But quite frankly, from far away in real life, even as well, they kind of would. And when we paint, we're kind of combining, we're kind of using what something would look like in real life, but also we're following the rule of cool. And what I'm going to say here is that leather straps over top of a super patterned turtle with his white recessed skin and his coloration and everything, leather straps, not the most interesting part of this turtle. So I'm not super feeling like I want to spend, I would say it is not ROI that I'm super into, but even still, even if it was not that hard to highlight up the heck out of these things, which it isn't, honestly. I can do it. I don't think it's the look I want. I wouldn't want anyone to look at the turtle and have their eyes first go to leather straps, right? So their eyes, they have two options. They can go to the turtle itself, or they can go to the howdah with the riders on it. The riders I care about, the turtle I care about, even the howdah I care about, the leather straps. They just need to look good. They can't look rushed. They can't look like an afterthought. And quite honestly, I see them being in one of the final episodes I do of the Leviadon. I see me looking over them and saying, okay, they need a little more. But yeah, yes, if the turtle had a GIMP mask on, Saray, I would probably highlight up the GIMP mask. That would be interesting. But it doesn't, and nor will it. I'm not adding a GIMP mask to the turtle. I mean, that is sort of how they work, I guess. But a GIMP mask, it's different. I mean, that's not really fair. Like, these animals are kind of being enslaved to some extent. GIMPs really should be willing. They should be willing. I think GIMP. I'm anyone who knows more about GIMP play, GIMP stuff. Let me know. But my assumption is that you're somewhat is that it's consensual to an extent. It is consensual at an early stage, but then part of the enjoyment of being a GIMP is that the minutia, the micromanaging is out of your hands, I think. But early on, you agree to this, and I don't think the turtle is the same situation. At no point is the turtle like, hey, I'm fine with you using magic to take over my body and take me to war. What happens specifically? That's kind of part of the fun. I don't think that that's how it works. Whereas I think that's how gimping works. Okay. I have a poll up. The poll says, how much does play style affect your army choice? We know we have some people that are getting into AOS. Some people are picking up new armies with the new edition being out 9 months or so now. how much does playstyle affect the army choice, right? Kind of the other things are painting and just the lore of the army. I'm kind of curious specifically today about playstyle. How does it factor in? It looks pretty even here. Somewhat is winning. Mostly is in second place. And both totally and not at all, the extremes have the lowest 2 scores here. So tell me why. Like, why? Why does playstyle affect an army that you pick or not? Can you guys... I found out, I learned about myself, it was the Slaves to Darkness army that I painted up. I had this unique combination of painting a full army, didn't want to play without the army being painted. Knowing that I wanted the army either way was kind of helpful. At that time, I was still at Titans and then quickly bridged to just being here. So it was fine to have the army. I also kind of liked having, even if I hadn't gone on to do more streaming, I liked the army because I could tell that it was a good army. If I had a friend come over and was like, oh, I want to play Age of Sigmar, I could tell that it was a good army for either them or me to play for learning the game. Because my other armies are insane even at the time they were insane, but even now, I wouldn't throw Deepkin up in an early game. I wouldn't throw Daughters of Cain up in an early game that somebody's learning, either player, right? If I had a friend that I thought was somewhat competent at gaming and wargaming, which is most of my friends at this point, and they were like, oh, I really want to play Deepkin, I really want to play Daughters, can I try them out? In our first AOS game, I'd be like, sure. But if I wouldn't feel comfortable playing either of those armies in a first game. So I kind of like that about the Slaves army. That said, I sat down, I played 2 or 3 games with the Slaves to Darkness, and I was just like, this sucks. I can't do this. Like, I don't know how Saray does this. I don't know how Brad plays all the different armies he plays. Steven basically bases his armies off of how can I get the most monstrous infantry. Which is not a keyword designator in Sigmar, but it's things like Trogs and Ogres and Bone Reapers have a lot, right? If Steven has to paint like 10 Mortek Guard, it's like agony for him. But he'll do it as long as most of the rest of the army can be like, here's a unit of 4 practically monsters. Here's a unit of 6 practically monsters, right? I don't think I've ever based my army off of that. I kind of am like, I like horde armies, but I have monster-only armies. The Deepkin are not a horde army; they're elite cavalry army. So, yeah, I think I'm mostly looking for play style, but I also do need to like the lore. Right now, I can tell you a army that I know I would like the play style of, but I don't really like the lore. But I do like the painting, but I also don't want to paint it. Is Hedonites. I'm sure that I would like Hedonites. I also don't think I need them because kind of their cool thing is Blissbarb archers as troops. They have like a little archer unit as troops. And eventually I'll just have the Reavers for Deepkin and it's going to be very similar. Yeah, painting hordes is not as bad as you think it is. Probably if you haven't done it yet and then you do it, I don't think it's as bad as most people think it is, but that maybe I've done it multiple times now, so maybe that's just copium, as Brett would say. All right, I do want to toss a little more of an edge highlight on some of the strap areas before we move on from the straps. Yeah, let me know, how do you pick an army? How do you like if playstyle is a factor? For me, I learned that about myself with the Slaves to Darkness. It was really one of the first times I had played an army, not really giving too much thought about the play style. But when I did and I played it, I was like, oh, this is not fun, actually, of a play style for me. I kind of like my armies to be fast. I like to have shenanigans, especially movement shenanigans. Magic. I'm not actually into super heavy magic armies. I slowly kind of learned that. When I was playing Heresy, I had a 1,000 Suns army. And when I was playing Heresy, I kind of felt like I was using my magic shenanigans, my psycho shenanigans and stuff in 40 and 30K to do movement shenanigans. That was kind of a thing they could do back then. I don't know if they still can, but and I kind of liked that. I didn't really realize that it wasn't the psychic like stuff that I cared about 1,000 Suns. It was kind of like the tricks that the psychic stuff allowed them to do. I genuinely, I know Polly plays Tzeentch. I genuinely have no interest in playing Tzeentch stuff anymore, even though I think it's the coolest Chaos God. I like the trickery element of Tzeentch more than I like the magic element of Tzeentch. It's just that they kind of happen to be a little bit related. Yeah, no, lore-wise, I don't really... Like I said, lore-wise, the only army that really appeals to me in the Chaos Grand Alliance is Slaves of Darkness, and even that's a little more like, not really. None of the Chaos lore super appeals to me, although I think it's cool. It's good lore, I like it. Dark Oath is cool especially. I like a lot of the lore. It's just not it's not like what I want to play, right? It's not what I want to imagine representing me on the tabletop. So, yeah. Okay. Let's take a moment and read what you, chat, has to say about what is happening. Remove, report Liberty fires. No, don't do that. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Skew sucks. What do you mean, Polly? Heavy army type. Yeah, Melody, I get that. Yeah, well, okay, but see, so that's the thing. That's kind of what I do. That's kind of what we're doing. We're kind of like slowly getting every Age of Sigmar army. Actually, as a studio, we only don't have 3 armies right now. Hedonets, Sons of Behemoth, and Fire Slayers. And we do have some Sons of Behemoth, and we do have some Fire Slayers. Hedonites are also, we have a plan for that in the very near future. But yeah, collecting the heavy army is super cool. But still, what I'm saying is I found out that I can collect them. I sit down to play them, and I'm like, oh, this isn't fun at all. Like, I don't like how this is going. I'm not like, my intuition is not engaged, for one. That would be the first way I would say. Like, my intuition is not engaged when I play Slaves of Darkness. I'm like, I don't know what to do with these units. Like, and I know that feeling is something I know Meg has felt with a lot of armies. And she's like kind of a thing that you might have to learn, but also like, I don't know, does that make sense? Like, some armies sort of engage your intuition, and you're like, oh, this should do that, and this should do that, and this makes sense to me. I don't know. Gargants and Sky Dwarves are skew armies because they focus limited build capability in the case of Gargants. Just kind of focuses on holding objectives and fighting little guys off of them. And then you've got Sky Dwarves who just need to do their shooting and jumping around. I don't know. That's an interesting take. I mean, what's skew to you, I guess, is not skew to everybody. Or is skew subjective? Is skew objective? I don't know. Okay, straps are done. How are we doing on time? Started a bit late. What can I do? Oh, man, I didn't even get to the face. I said I was going to get to the face. And this ended up being basically a straps only situation. Oh, and we did the little guys at the beginning. Let me see here. I could start on teeth. We could do some teeth. Let's do some teeth. I actually think I'm gonna base coat the teeth with this green ochre too, to be honest with you. I have it here. I think I don't mind laying this color down first. All of one type of army. So like when I take 100 witch elves, does that skew Liberty? I don't know. We did not talk mostly about GIMP play. That is not correct. Melody is a liar. We did talk a bit about GIMP play. That's fair. To say that we mostly talked about GIMP play would be bad. You know what? I feel like I'm having this conversation and realizing that must be like my parents did not. My parents were together until my mom died. So I didn't grow up in a family with divorce, but I feel like that must be something that happens when you pick the kids up. It's like, oh, we talked mostly about GIMP play. Like, no, we talked a little bit about GIMP play over the weekend. Just a little bit. Above average amount of GIMP talk. That's fine, Soups, that's fine. The average amount of GIMP, that's fair. The average amount of GIMP talk is 0. So I think the fact that we brought it up is fine. No, it's not, Polly. Polly, you're just naming the things I like. Let's see. 100 Witch Elves is skew. Is skew bad? Is skew good? I don't know. What if you skew and it's like fine? It performs fine, not amazingly. It was Saray's fault. He wants me to put a GIMP mask on the turtle for some reason. Skew is good unless it's good, then it's bad. Oh, that's a pretty good take. But if it's bad, then that's good. What if it's like okay? Performance isn't the point. Skew is not enjoyable for me. I would rather be able to include a variety of units and have a fun time. Well, what if you can include a variety of units, but... So, for example, my daughter's skew list had 2 types of Witch Elves. One's with 2 knives and one's with a shield. And then it had Doomfire Warlocks. And then it had 2 types of Elf Infantry foot characters. A Hag Queen and a Slaughter Queen. Does 40K have roll 3 for everything? Or is there like a battle line designation that can ignore that? There used to be something like that. I don't know if that exists anymore. Oh, well then I would have been fine. Witch Elves. I had 5 units. That still would have been acceptable in 40K terms. So, okay. I'm going to do a little cleaning, shading here, cleaning in these weird things here. We're using Krellian green shade. I haven't actually used the shade on the turtle yet. I think this is going to be the right one to clean up mistakes. We'll see here. Yeah, I super enjoyed my 100 Witch Elves list. I'll probably play it again soon. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I made another list up that I want to play next time I play on stream. That it uses Cthulhu, 80 Witch Elves, and double cart. So not 100 Witch Elves, but 80. One of the issues with AOS is that the armies are just smaller. And so oftentimes good armies really only want 1 or 2 types of infantry that might have a keyword, or it might be the only like infantry that does that. So Daughters are a great example of this. You can take blended snakes and elves, but if you do that, you're then teching into these different characters that largely only affect one or the other. That's kind of one of the things that makes magic cool. Magic usually affects all parts of the army, but of course magic is risky. So you end up with, your army kind of split down the middle where these characters buff this, these characters buff this. When you take 100 Witch Elves, all the characters buff things the same, and positioning is such a big deal in Sigmar. And so often you're just out of position with somebody for some reason. So having the army kind of tech into one element with the amount of points you get in Sigmar is sort of a thing. It can be, you can find yourself building a wing and say, okay, well, I want mostly attack into elves, but I'll have some snakes. And then you find yourself building a wing, but that wing actually eats up a lot of your points. That said, I think like 10 melee snakes and the melee snake girl is fine, like a little small amount of something. But the other part about Sigmar is, frankly, most armies just don't have as many units as 40k does, right? Look at Asuryani, look at Eldar, right? Just like all of the different little foot guys they can take. I don't know who builds, I don't know what counts as battle line, again, stuff like that in the game. I'm sure Guardians do Rangers, you know. Can I take 3 min units of Rangers? That's like what you did in 9th. Or Guardians are kind of good back then. Like, should I take 20 Guardians? Should I take 10? Should I take 2 units of 20? Like, there's a lot more options, I feel like. Armies don't have as many options in AOS, which I kind of like, except for Stormcast, which have way too many. So I get it. For me, I really need everything to be there. I need the paint to be there, the lore to be there, and the playstyle to all kind of match. I think I would. It will be a while, and it will be for, like, Cities is another army that I painted up. Kind of learned quickly that the playstyle is not for me. It's fine. We needed it for the channel, so we kept going. I still paint Cities models. But as far as playstyle goes, really not for me. So I'm glad I have the army, but I really need the playstyle to mesh with what I don't know, what meshes with me, right? What makes sense with me. Okay. Cool, we've got leather straps. I'm very excited for gems on these guys. How are we doing on time? I could spend a couple hours almost. I might call it. Let me see here. Rather than do the teeth. Next week, what will I do? Teeth. You know what? Let's do teeth real fast now. Let's do it. Let's do teeth. Okay, for teeth, I said I was going to base coat green ochre. I'm having a change of opinion, though, here. I think what I want to do is take the lighter highlight dual exo color that I used and base coat with that, and then have white come in, because I think I actually kind of want the teeth to sort of look like, not like they don't look like separate teeth like we have as humans. Well, yeah, no, they do. Never mind, I totally lied about that. Anyway, I'm going to do that anyway. I'm going to go ahead and base coat them kind of with this color, and then we'll go white over top. Yeah, I don't want them to look like bloody raw teeth. I want them to kind of look green. I want them to green a little bit. And I still need to figure out what I'm doing with this horn here. I think Meg is going to jump on Hobby Hang when I'm done. If anyone wants to Hobby Hang a bit. I'll probably go for a meditative health walk myself. It is not nice out here though right now. It's all rainy and sad, gloomy. I am very excited to get this guy on the table. He's going to allow for a different play style. I like that about the Deepkin army, I will say. You can do the Horde. You can do... Well, they really only have one monster, which is this guy. So you can't really do monster stuff too well. No, that's not true. They have the Achelian. Sorry, not the Achelian. The Eidolons of Mathlin, which I've been using. I think I'd remember that. Okay, starting here with green teeth, and what we're going to do now is use a little Abtalong Pure White. Like I said, one of my favorite paints, one of my most used paints, and we're going to start working in a little bit of this. Ultimately, I do kind of want the teeth to go pretty white. So I'm fine kind of jumping up quite a bit here. See if I can focus this a bit for you guys. Turtles don't have teeth. That's correct, Melody. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. They have beaks, and this turtle is therefore not correct. Merely inspired by earth turtles, but quite frankly, incorrect. Okay. This is a pretty good base coat. So what I'm going to do now is take my old friend Corellian Green Shade and shade around these guys a little bit. Shade around these teeth a little bit. And then I'll do kind of a final highlight layer or two on the teeth. Thanks So Nasty for gifting the memberships. Super appreciate it. Hopefully, we're still, like I said, we're still a little on the fence about Nova. We kind of use it as a family vacation. I'm kind of excited or interested maybe to, like I said, try different things. I'm committing to not doing the GT. Not doing the GT. I say that every year and I end up doing the GT. This year I'm not going to do the GT. Now, I say that, but I will say this. There's a couple factors that might make me do the GT. One, we got a new season coming out. Maybe that new season will be really cool. Maybe I'll want to do the GT. And two, you know, I'm digging the Deepkin. I've been enjoying them a lot. It's probably been the most excited I've been for an army. So I think if I'm really digging it, going to events, enjoying the Deepkin, doing okay, then I'll definitely do the GT. But currently, I'm definitely not doing the GT. So, no, I don't think so. I don't think so, Ted, Meg. Fucking liars. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do the GT. I'm saying I'm not doing the GT, but I think there's a chance I do the GT. But definitely not doing the GT is the thing. Currently, definitely not probably doing the GT. And just taking this opportunity now that I've got this green shade on my brush to do a little more cleanup. I can tell this is a good shade color for everything I've done. So that means it's also kind of a cleanup color. Okay, there's how our teeth are looking so far. We're gonna do some more here. That was the shading step we talked about. Do I have any coffee left? Yes. Very cold. Yeah, there is so Mexican food at the bar across the street at the Nova Melody. We do know that will be there. Well, actually, we don't. But otherwise, I like that bar though. I do like that bar. Their food's just not that good, and their food's okay. Their chips and salsa are fine. What am I doing? Teeth. Yes. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's highlight up these teeth even more. God, I've made such a freaking mess of my wet palette. Wet palettes are also really great. They sit there and show you over and over again for like 3 straight days how much paint you've wasted. You're like, oh, you're done with that color? Okay, well, there's still a lot left, so that's cool. Glad you mixed up so much. All right, still keeping a little bit of green in here. I'm going to try to not waste paint this time. Oh my god, I'm wasting this wet palette. Now I'm wasting space on the wet palette. Okay. This is what happens when you tie your hobby to a business and then start worrying about costs. You're like, everything is awful. Just kidding, that's not true. I need like a special holder for this turtle. I'm holding it in a very weird way right now that I don't like. Oh, Ted had his health walk. Is it still raining and crappy outside, Meg? All right, finally, I'm going to use pure white here to do just a few little streaks on the teeth. And rather than do like one, like, obvious streak on the teeth, I'm doing like a few fine lines of pure white. To give it, for lack of a better word, like a little bit of texture. How is that? Okay. Now, keep in mind, folks, I do this thing, and I think a lot of us do this, where I'm like, cool, that's the turtle, face done. Or not face, but teeth done, anyway, for now. And I say for now because, for sure, one of my last steps will be to reevaluate the entire turtle. I might even do that on air so you guys can see the idiocy that goes along with that. But sitting down with a model and looking at it, and you often, depending on what it is, we'll take a piece of paper and like list out everything that needs cleanup. And I've even done, I've even been so crazy, like when I did my 40 Free Guild steel helms, I would even kind of like make lists. I would make like, I did a piece of paper and was like, this one needs this, 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 and I put those in the area. This one needs this, this, and you know, it's kind of helps me go through and say, what are the final touches that this turtle needs? It's a lot easier with a big monster than 40 steel helms. So I'll pull this guy out and I'll sit here and I'll look at him and I'll say, okay, what needs, you know, and you know, we move away from technique and we go to zone. We play zone, and so we look at the tail and we say, what does the tail need? What didn't I hit? Is there a cleanup that needs to happen on the tail? What could I do here? Then we go to this part and the fins and step by step, and we list out everything that we feel like the model needs in a cleanup stage to be complete. So, you know, whenever I step away from something like the teeth, I'm fully anticipating maybe being back here in about a month and saying, okay, it needs a little bit of this or a little bit of that. Maybe I do want a little bit of warmth in the teeth. Right now I don't. I like how green and minty they look, but I might want that. And I still need to figure out the horn. The horn is very boring compared to the rest of what's going on here, and we can't have that. So I think I might do like yellow and orange and a really vivid orange tip, or I might do just yellow. I might have it kind of match the tail as a concept. I'm not sure yet. There's the turtle. Next week, I believe we will move away. Maybe we might move away from the turtle, and we might work on the howdah itself, since I have done work on the howdah, and it's ready to go here. We might work on the howdah itself. I'll let you know. I'm not sure if I want the floor to be different or not, or if I want to also be metal. But we have other things to do as well, like symbols. We've got a drum head to paint. We've got a kind of this thing, this iconography thing. We've got the tassels. There's all kinds of tassels on this thing. So there's plenty left to do on the howdah. I think that's where I might go next week. But I have to say, I'm very happy with how the turtle's coming out. I'm liking this. I'm excited to see it on my base, one of my bases. I'm excited to see it full of Deepkin on top of it, shooting, drumming, riding steering the turtle. I'm really looking forward to this model being finished and getting it on to the table. I'm hoping I'm checking how it's gonna look. I think it's gonna look nice on the top down. You can get the cock shape. The obvious, for some reason, top down will show real hardcore the penis shape of the howdah. Is this a howdah? Yeah, I guess it's a howdah, right? Yeah. So I think it's gonna look cool. Yeah, very excited. Okay, I'm gonna call it here for the day, folks at home. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you did, I appreciate it. I believe Meg's gonna be around a little bit tonight. I probably will be a little bit later as well. But otherwise, keep in mind Meg is here tomorrow, super early in the AM, 6 a.m. Pacific time. Saturday, we have a game. Saturday's game is going to be John and Meg. Sunday, we have a hobby stream. I'm not sure who's on that yet. Although I do know Saray will be here for that. Yeah. And then Monday, we have our 6 p.m. game. And I forget who's on that. I think it's a guest. Is it Graham? Is Graham back? I don't know. You'll find out, though. We'll talk about it. All right. Hey, everybody. Bye. See you all soon. Thanks for hanging out with me.